Well, you probably know that Jimmy Carter passed away. He was 100 years of age, born in 1924. 100 years, still pretty good. He was president of the United States after Richard Nixon and after Gerald Ford. Now, you have to understand something. Gerald Ford was appointed by Nixon to be his vice president after Nixon had some disastrous vice presidents, including like Spiro T. Agnew, some bad stuff that was going on. And ultimately, when it came down to the election in '76, Gerald Ford, well, he had been appointed by Nixon. Nixon had left the office in disgrace. But one of the things that Gerald Ford did, he pardoned Nixon. And to the American public, that was an unforgivable sin back in those days. Totally unforgivable. And so he ran for re-election. And I remember him coming to Fort Wayne and having his rally at the Coliseum. And I remember all that stuff because I was there for some stuff that I was doing for a company I was working for at the time. And but Gerald Ford lost to this guy named Jimmy Carter. Now you say, well, why? Well, it's because America did not forgive Gerald Ford for pardoning Richard Nixon. They didn't. But Jimmy Carter was kind of an everyman. Here he was, governor of Georgia, a peanut farmer, academy graduate, served on a nuclear submarine, had a wife, and he was just kind of the everyman, plain old everyday guy. Well, people seemed to like that and said, okay, you know what? We're going to toss out Jerry Ford because he pardoned Nixon, and we're going to put in Jimmy Carter. Well, Jimmy Carter's Southern boy, and he was, well, he was there when we had the takeover of the American embassy in Iran. That happened under his watch. And in that particular situation, hundreds of Americans were taken prisoner and held by the Iranians. And for 444 days, I believe it was, a little sidebar from that, there used to be a TV show on called Nightline on ABC. Ted Koppel was the guy who did it. Well, Nightline came into history because of the Iran hostage situation. That's where it got started. And they just kept it airing it and said, well, it's still going on, still going on. Like I said, 444 days. Well, Jimmy Carter tried to get some things taken care of, tried to have a raid in Iran to free the hostages, and that was through the Air Force, and it turned out to be a debacle. It's not even worth discussing. A lot of people died, and it was a bad scene. It didn't happen. So America became very frustrated with what was going on in Iran. We had the hostages, so when the election came around in 1980, well, there was a fellow named Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was an American through and through. He said, no, we are America first. And he meant it. And what happened was America took a look at it and said, hey, Jimmy, you're out, Ron's in. Because Ron, he said, here's what we're going to do. Ronald was formerly a Democrat. He said, you know what? I didn't leave the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party left me. That's happened to other politicians in today's world too, by the way. So anyway, so Ronald Reagan won the election, but Jimmy Carter, even after he was out of office, he was big into Habitat for Humanity. He did a lot of great things out of office. I mean, a lot of great things. Highly respected, highly honored, and frankly, as a Democrat, he did the best he could do with what he had, because Washington is, in many ways, a sewer. He tried to clean it up as best he could. So did Gerald Ford. But neither one were able to get everything done. But Jimmy Carter passes away at the age of 100. He will be remembered, not as maybe the greatest president, but he will be remembered as one who sort of healed the wounds that America suffered because of the Nixon administration and before Ronald Reagan took over and said America first. Just telling you what's going on so you know a little bit more. So my condolences to his family. I thought he was a great man in a lot of ways, and former Navy, and that's a part of the Brotherhood. So now you know what I think. Jimmy Carter passed away at the age of 100, and wasn't a bad guy. Just my opinion.